Okay, welcome back to the book of Genesis. Today we are going to read chapter 16, Hagar and Ishmael. Let's go ahead and read about these two. Here we go. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, and she had an Egyptian maidservant whose name was Hagar. So Sarai said to Abram, "See now, the Lord has restrained me from bearing children. Please go in to my maid. Perhaps I shall obtain children by her." And Abram heeded the voice of Sarai. Then Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar her maid, an Egyptian, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan. Verse 4, So he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress became despised in her eyes. Then Sarai said to Abram, "My wrong be upon you. I gave my maid unto your embrace, and when she saw that she had conceived, I became despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between you and me." So Abram said to Sarai, "Indeed, your maid is in your hand. Do to her as you please." And when Sarai dealt harshly with her, she fled from her presence. Verse 7, Now the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness by the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, Sarai's maid, where have you come from, and where are you going?" And she said, "I am fleeing from the presence of my mistress, Sarai." So the angel of the Lord said to her, "Return to your mistress, and submit yourself under her hand." Then the angel of the Lord said to her, "I will multiply your descendants exceedingly, so that they shall not be counted for multitude." And the angel of the Lord said to her, "Behold, you are with child, and you shall bear a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your affliction." Verse 12, "He shall be a wild man. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him. He shall dwell in the presence of his brethren." Verse 13, Then she called the name of the Lord, who spoke to her, "You are the God who sees," for she said, "I have also here seen him who sees me." Therefore the well was called Bir Lasharah. Observe it between Kadesh and Beerdan. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram named his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abraham. And that is the end of chapter 16. Well, we saw a lot go on here, and this has huge significance for the present day. Hagar and Ishmael. Well, we see right from the beginning, Abram's wife, Sarai, she is concerned. She is basically admitting here that she cannot have children. Apparently there is something wrong with her, because she and her husband, Abram, have not had children yet. So apparently she can't bear children. So she comes up with an idea to give her maidservant to her husband, Abram, so that he can get her pregnant and then give the child to his wife. But unfortunately, it doesn't turn out that way. Sarai obviously gets mad and jealous, and a big problem happens out of this. So basically what happens here is Sarai convinces her husband to have an affair with another woman, just so that there can be a baby. Well, God did not tell them to do that, did not tell Abram to do that. So going back all the way to Adam and Eve, I believe Abram here was supposed to be the man and say, no, that is wrong. I will not do that, like Adam should have done with Eve when she told him to eat the fruit. It would be okay. Adam and Abram both did not do what they should have done as the husband. And we see an illegitimate child being born named Ishmael. Now, it just so happens we see a description given by God as to Ishmael. He is going, in verse 12, he says, he shall be a wild man. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him. He shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. So Ishmael, we will later find out, is going to be the father of the Islamic people, of the Arab people. Ishmael is going to be the head of the Islamic people that we know today. And this description pretty much fits what we see today coming out of the Middle East. So because Abram did not do what he should have done and not had an illicit affair with Hagar, we see Ishmael being born, and we see the Islamic people, and we see what's happening in the present day with that. So if he had not had an affair, what would have happened? We would probably not have the Arab people today and all the problems that we have in the Middle East, perhaps. I also wonder, when I read this, if perhaps the fact that Abram and his whole entourage are living in an evil land, the land of the Canaanites, if perhaps that has something to do with him accepting so quickly to have an illicit affair. Perhaps that is. When we live in a sinful situation and we're around things like that, that can rub off on us sometimes and make us act badly. And that's why we should not allow ourselves to be in a place like that. So that is it for chapter 16 of Genesis. In our next video, we will tackle chapter 17. So if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you next time in the book of Genesis. God bless.